Hello, everybody that's joining us right now. We're just going to give everyone a couple more seconds to finish joining the presentation, and then we will get started. Great. Well, we have quite a few people joining us, so I will go ahead and we'll start the presentation. Um, let's get it going. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from today. Thank you for joining us for this webinar on how to grow your last mile distribution business by selling any product. Today, VP of Sales, Wes Kading, and Director of Customer Experience at Angaza, Caroline Shikhule, will be discussing some of the ways that distributors can easily and efficiently expand their product portfolios to meet rising consumer demand for durable goods in last mile markets. But before I turn the presentation over to our speakers to introduce themselves, I'll just provide a brief summary of a few of the key talking points that we'll be going over today. In this webinar, we'll be discussing some of the reasons that last mile distributors can benefit from diversifying their range of product offerings to include more durable, feature rich products and non metered devices. We'll also be touching on how the right SaaS technology can help distributors overcome some of the common challenges that are associated with expanding their product offerings, such as inventory management and repayment risk. And then we'll also touch on a few of the unique aspects of the Angaza platform, like flexible payment options and billing models that can really help distributors build lasting relationships with consumers so they can confidently sell any product to any consumer anywhere in the world. So, without further delay, I'd like to have our presenters tell you a little bit more about themselves. So, Wes, would you please give us a little bit of background around your role at Angaza?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Aaron. Hi, everyone. I'm Wes Kading. I'm our Vice President of Sales here and Head of Global Revenue at Angaza. Been in Angaza now for almost 2.5 years, during which time I've been responsible for all of our revenue-related operations and from enterprise sales, manufacturing partnerships, SMS contract negotiations, and of course, outbound team growth and development. I specialize in developing scalable sales strategies that improve conversions and ultimately lead rates for our team here.
Thank you, Wes. My name is Caroline, the Director of Customer Experience at Angaza. My main responsibility is to oversee Angaza's customer success team that is located in Nairobi, and their main focus is to drive outstanding customer success outcomes. I specialize in implementing strategies to prevent customer churn, increase product adoption, and ensure customer satisfaction. Our customer success team at Angaza is very proactive in their engagement with our distributor customers, and they make sure that they get the most out of the Angaza solution, which enables them to successfully grow their business.
Great. Thank you both for those introductions. I'd just like to take a moment to remind our audience here that this is intended to be an interactive session, and there will be a Q&A segment at the end of the webinar where our presenters can take a few minutes to get to as many of your questions as possible. So please don't forget to submit any questions that you'd like answered as they relate to today's material or to the Angaza solution as a whole. And with that, let's dive into the content, starting with some context around increasing demand for durable goods in last mile and emerging markets. So, a good example of this is the rise in consumer demand for smartphones in Africa. Nearly 22.9 million smartphones shipped to Africa in Q3 2020 alone. And this was in spite of COVID 19. And recent research from analyst firm IDC actually observed a 1.6% year over year increase of device shipments to the region as well. And this growth has primarily been driven by a shift in vendor strategy that emphasizes sales of more entry level flagship phones, as well as an uptick in demand as many African countries begin to ease those COVID 19 lockdown restrictions. Now, overall projections for the African smartphone market in 2021 are strong as supply chain constraints continue to lift. So, with this context, what are some of the reasons last mile distributors should consider diversifying their product portfolios to include more durable products like smartphones with these types of markets in mind? And Wes, would you mind fielding this one?
Yeah, of course. It's really interesting. We're finding that more and more consumers in emerging markets are leaning towards purchase of affordable and feature-rich products, right? This trend isn't necessarily exclusive to just smartphone and mobile devices, which is historically what people have kind of purchased, but we're actually observing an increase in demand for other durable goods like TVs, laptops, radios, even home refrigeration units. And there's a real opportunity here for last mile distributors to capitalize on this trend and promote business growth by offering these life-changing products to consumers in a way that presents minimal risk to the business, which will address the component of risk more deeply as we continue, as well as maximizing the benefit for the consumers. Another important benefit to expanding a last mile product portfolio is the opportunity to encourage repeat business and customer loyalty with last mile consumers. When a last mile distributor makes more sophisticated products available to consumers and offers payment methods or terms that increase the affordability of these products, this benefits both the business and the customer, right? So the business profits from increased product sales or more sales that they're able to incur. That results from longer term customer relationships as these customers build up a payment history. This allows them to access more expensive feature-rich products. And now the customer then benefits from increased affordable access to desired products like smartphones and TVs. And all of this is only possible if distributors are able to expand their offering to include more sophisticated products that their customers want to be able to purchase. We'll address some of the ways distributors can make this scenario a reality for their customers in a few minutes. But for now, I think that's a good introduction.
Awesome. So, Caroline, do you have any insight into what distributors are looking for when it comes to making the leap to incorporating more diverse products into their sales portfolios, like Wes mentioned?
Absolutely. What we've had from our distributor partners is that when they make the decisions to add more products and devices to their portfolios, this decision is actually driven by an increase in market demand for this type of products. So ultimately, distribution businesses want to make sure that the products they add to their portfolios will sell to last mile consumers successfully. So another important component of enabling distributors to make these products available to consumers is the ease with which they are able to integrate those products into what is already existing in their sales process. So one of the benefits that we need to think about is expanding product offerings while working with the Angaza platform. Is that Angaza has an extensive device catalog that is fully supported by a software solution. So distributors have the option to sell any product with Angaza. Think about smartphones, laptops, TVs, home refrigerators, solar water pumps, clean cook stoves, and so much more. Angaza has a large growing catalog of devices that includes both metered pay-as-you-go products as well as non-metered products. So our customer success team can work with distributors to ensure that they sell any product that is in high demand by their customers.
That's great. And if anyone watching is interested in exploring the Angaza device catalog, you can find the catalog at devices.angaza.com. Caroline, in your experience working with our distributor network from a customer success angle, are there any other tangible benefits that come along with having a more diverse array of products on offer for last mile consumers?
That's a good question. And yes, most definitely there are. Um, I think one of the biggest benefits in the opportunity is the opportunity to present consumers with more options and incentives to make purchases that meet their needs. So multiple product sales, which Angaza supports, are a good example of this. So distributors can actually bundle offers when they register customers and easily group items that are commonly sold together. So think about a solar home system combined with a cook stove. Bundling these offers is a way that allows distributors to sell services such as warranties, subscriptions, which enhance the value of a primary product. So with Angaza, this process is also very efficient because these offers are all connected to a single account on the Angaza platform.
Great. Wes, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually found that multi-product sales are becoming increasingly relevant as last mile consumer markets continue to mature. And Gaza supports multi-product sales strategies that emphasize trade-ins, upgrades, all sorts of things that facilitate an easier process for our distributors. With trade-ins and upgrades, distributors can actually offer their customers the option to exchange part or all of their used product for or a new device or new product. The new product is generally of higher value and capacity and is offered at a discounted rate. This process, which functions as a what we would call a mid-loan upsale, can be incredibly impactful for consumers as it allows them to use their proven payment history, i.e., their credit, as collateral to acquire more sophisticated, more feature rich, or expensive products. Oftentimes in these last mile markets, there isn't the infrastructure necessary for establishing something like a traditional credit history. So these mid loan upgrades maximize the impact to consumers while also increasing the revenue at reduced risk to the distributor by establishing a history of payment. You can think of this as a modern day credit score that distributors can utilize to evaluate if somebody is eligible for one of these upgrades.
That's great. And you mentioned reducing risk to the distributor as well, which I think is a important concern that a lot of last mile distributors have when it comes to taking on a more complex product portfolio. So, what are your recommendations for distribution businesses when it comes to encouraging the sales of sophisticated products to last mile consumers without resulting in that unnecessary risk or challenges? And also, just a reminder to our audience here to continue submitting your questions so that we can answer as many as possible live at the end of the presentation. Wes.
Yeah, I think the goal here is to take on the least amount of risk to the business while finding a way to still empower low income consumers to have access to these life changing products. A well designed software solution can absolutely help distribution businesses achieve that balance. A common concern that a lot of our customers face is how will I effectively manage the expanded inventory of products without disrupting my existing process? And it's a fair concern, right? I think the benefit of having a software solution like Angaza at their disposal is that it takes care of the majority of the work involved with managing the distribution supply chain. The Angaza Hub actually increases efficiency of inventory management and allocation by centralizing all this information necessary related to product tracking and sales performance in one convenient location for our distributors to access and effectively utilize. Now, distributors are able to use the hub to monitor their expanded stock, assign product access to specific salespeople for shipping and retrieval, and easily filter inventory by product category. So it's great to slice and dice your data to get the insights you really need. This functionality really eliminates a lot of the headache associated with diversifying the product catalog and allows for very minimal disruption of the process. It makes for a very streamlined flow of goods and ensures that more inventory does not result in additional challenges for distributors that are more or less headaches and unnecessary, but instead results in more sales and better organization, which yields higher level of client satisfaction and ultimately more profit or benefit for the distribution business.
And to add on to what Wes has said, another big concern distribution businesses operating in last mile markets have is the risk associated with payment defaults on expensive products. So take a look at this. A distributor will often take on all the upfront cost of purchasing sophisticated products to expand their product portfolios. So it's very important that a software solution supports the business's efforts to reduce the risk of payment defaults. So what we do is encourage customers who use Angaza to adopt the process of remittering, which is fully supported by the platform. And now I know you're wondering what's remittering. Remittering allows distributors to use a fully paid or what we call unlocked metered product as enforcement and collateral for the sale of one or more non-metered products. And I'll give you an example. So a sales agent might sell cook stoves and smartphones and enforce them using metered products. Think about a solar home system. So what this does, it reduces the risk that a customer will be unable to make payments on a non-metered product because an ongoing relationship to the existing metered device is already established. So when distribution businesses are able to limit risk in this way, it allows them to confidently add more products to their portfolio and sell more and more to their customers on a repeat basis.
That's great. And you mentioned selling to customers on a repeat basis just then, which I think is also a very critical component of scaling one's last mile distribution business. So, aside from pursuing multi product sales opportunities, how else can last mile distributors encourage repeat business with their customer base?
That's a great question. Moving beyond transactional sales with consumers and establishing customer loyalty is a huge priority for last mile businesses. Finding ways to become a reliable and trusted source of life-changing products for low-income consumers in these emerging markets can result in lasting and profitable relationships that are mutually beneficial for both the distributor and the consumer. One key way to build loyalty and trust with last mile consumers is to provide them with the payment options they need to make purchasing products simple and appealing. Now, Angaza supports a variety of billing models that make selling any type of product convenient for both the end consumer and the sales agent. We empower distribution businesses to go beyond the traditional pay as you go format with some noteworthy billing models. And the first there is the direct sales billing model, which is a classic, simple sales model where one upfront payment covers the entire price of the product. This isn't limited to pay as you go or metered units. This can be done for even non-metered units. With this model, the only information that must be configured at the time of purchase is actually the final purchase price because they're making one payment. Now, we also support a perpetual lease billing model, which allows distribution businesses to lease products indefinitely or sell services on an ongoing basis. Rather than having an unlocked price and payback time frame, these accounts are designed to last as long as the customer is interested in paying for the access to the service or product. The perpetual lease billing model is incredibly simple to initiate and allows for distributors to sell any product or service on a recurring no term limit basis. This effectively gives distributors the flexibility they require to meet their customer needs while still accurately tracking payment information, payback rates, and collections.
Absolutely. Great insights there, Wes. Another way to build lasting relationships with last mile consumers is to offer them an easy, reliable, and secure way to exchange currency for products. So the Angaza Hub and our offline activator supports the collection of cash payments and installments for any product or service offering. And this includes bundled offers that you've mentioned up there. So this helps us make the sales process as smooth as possible. We also encourage distributors to leverage mobile money payments on the Angaza platform. So currently, Angaza supports over 50 mobile money operators which have been integrated to date. Taking advantage of this digital payment option can reduce the headache or the need for impersonal sales interactions and limit the spread of COVID-19, which absolutely right now is a big concern for many distributors in these markets right now. When a customer submits a mobile money payment, the distributor's Angaza account is credited, and that amount actually reflects, and this removes the need for a sales agent to physically collect and record cash exchanges. This makes the process of collecting payments very simple for both the end consumer and definitely for the sales agent. We've also found that when a last mile consumer has access to a mobile phone, this enables distributors to remind them when payments are due via mass SMS. SMS is proven to be a very powerful relationship building tool for distributors because they can send notifications and reminders. And think about also exciting promotional offers that they can send to their customers. So when distributors sell to customers who use an active mobile money account throughout the customer life cycle, they can also help reduce the customer's payments default risk. And I'll give you an example of a customer who's been using our bulk SMS feature. This customer has been sending over 30,000 messages to date within 188 bulk SMS jobs. Towards the tail end of last year, the SMS jobs have seen them send promotional messages as well as payment reminders. They were able to increase their sales numbers in November and December and recorded their best quarter yet. So this goes to show the power of bulk SMS to our customers does really boost their sales and collections.
Amazing. Yeah, that all sounds great. And it really seems as though consumer needs and purchase patterns are continually evolving in these emerging marketplaces. And there are some massive growth opportunities for last mile distributors to meet this rising demand for more sophisticated products and services in these markets. So, in the interest of getting as many of the audience questions answered as possible, I'd just like to move on to the Q&A segment of the discussion and share some of the questions that have come in. And for our audience, if we are not able to get to your questions before we run out of time today, we will follow up with you via email with an answer after the presentation has concluded. So let's take a look at some of the questions we received today. Great. And we also had quite a few questions come in prior to the presentation today from those of you who registered ahead of time. So we'll try to get to as many of those questions as possible as well. Um, Let me just make sure that you can see all of our wonderful panelists today. There we have Wes, and there we have Caroline. Welcome, both of you. Thank you so much. Let's dive into the Q&A. So the first question that we have here, I think Caroline would probably be best suited for you to answer. Someone asked, do you have solutions for climate-friendly stoves?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. So what we are seeing is that more and more of our distributor customers are selling cook stoves. So as we all know, cook stoves are unmetered products. So what the distributors are doing is enforcing them with a metered product, such as a solar home system, what we called remetering in our earlier conversation.
Got it. Great. And then we also did have a question come in during the presentation, which I think kind of relates to product availability. So I'll just go ahead and ask that one now. The question was, do you have plans to introduce metered smartphones? Wes, do you want to
Yeah,
take?
not only do we have plans to introduce metered smartphones, we already have them on the platform. So examples are Samsung Knoxguard and like Nuovo Pay. And so we will continue to develop partnerships with other providers of feature-rich smartphones and other products. If you're interested, inquire with one of our account executives, and they can help you kind of learn more a little bit about kind of the specific models and how to get started with selling smartphones. But to answer the question, sure, yes, we actually already have them on our platform.
Excellent. And we did also have a question come in that I'll just address now. Couple questions asking, can we access the presentation afterwards? Yes, absolutely. You will be able to access this presentation afterwards. It will be available on demand, and we will follow up with those of you who registered to let you know where you can find the presentation. Caroline, I think this one is good for you. So do you have any examples of customers that you've seen successfully using remetering as collateral for other products? And as a result of this, have they seen a reduction in kind of those payment default rates?
The answer to that question is yes. We've seen an increase in the number of customers who are using remetering. And I'll give an example of one who's currently using cook stoves and reinforcing this with solar home systems. So this approach has been very beneficial to the distributors' operations, as they have seen their repayment risk reduce overwhelmingly from 88% to about 23%. So for the benefit of the audience today, repayment risk is designed to identify accounts that are most at risk for not receiving a new payment. And this feature is available for distributors who have already partnered with Angaza. And the intention here is to be a post-sales operational tool to help inform the after-sales care strategy and prioritization. So I'll give an example. So a distributor can actually use the repayment risk by itself or in combination with other relevant metrics, such as the number of days overdue, in order to prioritize which disabled accounts to follow up with and which interventions to actually use.
Excellent. Okay, the next one we have here, pretty straightforward, I think. Wes, you could probably fill this one. The Angaza device catalog, what are your plans to continue adding to it?
Yeah, it's a great question. We will continue to add different types of products, a little bit like I touched on before with smartphones that are in high demand in our markets. It'll range from smartphones to refrigeration systems and a host of other metered and non-metered devices. Something that I think is really important to understand is that Angaza takes a lot of ownership or pride in that we want to integrate with the types of products and manufacturers that really limit the tamperability of their products. We go through a very rigorous testing process to ensure quality. And so while we may not come out with as many products as we'd like and as fast as we'd like, the ones that are part of our device catalog, you can trust that we've gone through very rigorous testing processes, as well as ensuring that tamperability is as difficult as possible to do so.
Great. And we have another question. This one came in again prior to the presentation from a registrant. And this one I think is probably for you, Caroline. So when you say any product, when I think they mean when you say that Angaza can sell any product, do you also mean non-physical products such as loans for schooling? Does Angaza have the intention to support the operations of companies that are moving into things like microfinance?
Amazing question there. So we have incorporated microinsurance onto the Angaza platform. So distributors have continuously identified the need to cushion their customers in the event they are unable to continue paying for these devices. So for example, in the event of sickness. So the advantage here is that the customers and their families continue to enjoy the benefits derived from the devices, and the distributor mitigates against repayment risk. So we are also in advanced discussions with some of our distributor partners who are keen on offering loans through Angaza, and a considerable amount of work has gone into looking at how this is going to be done. So as you can see, our platform is very flexible in meeting the growing and changing demands of the market.
Absolutely. The next question that we have here is Angaza available in Mozambique?
I suppose I can take that very, very simply put. Yes, it is. We have a number of customers in Mozambique.
Awesome. Wes, for you as well, is Angaza working with all mobile network operators in Tanzania? Some regions have limited network connectivity, and you only get specific network operators.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the genesis of the question is. Are we working with every single mobile network provider out there in Tanzania? No. Do we have connectivity just about everywhere, or as many places as we really can? Yes. It's difficult to have a contract with every single mobile network provider. However, our system does work offline, right? So there's that possibility that if you're not connected and you're performing functions, when you do get reconnected, it'll upload.
Great. Can you touch a little bit more on that partially offline component? We did have a question come in during the presentation that I think is relevant to that question you just answered there, which is, can the Angaza system be used in partially offline? In other words, no GSM signal places?
Yeah, it can, in short, and the ability for your sales agents to be able to still make sales, and then when they come back online and get connectivity, excuse me, allows for everything to kind of then be uploaded. So we do have offline functionality as we've thought of this, and as I'm sure everybody on this call is aware, connectivity is not always available. So we want to make that a core feature of our product.
Right, absolutely. Caroline, perhaps you could answer this one. How do I set up the perpetual lease billing to sell products? Is it complicated to track?
So just to serve as a reminder of what perpetual lease billing model is, maybe for the benefit of those who might have joined later, this is a billing model that will ongoing services or lease products indefinitely. So rather than having an unlock price and payback time frame, these accounts are instead designed to last as long as a customer is interested in paying to access the service or product. So the process of setting this up is very easy on the Angaza platform, and perpetual lease accounts are managed basically in the same way as other accounts on the hub. and on the activator, with a slight difference in the account details. So think about pay-as-you-go or direct sales billing models. So payment progress is expressed as a percentage paid of the total unlock price. But due to this unique nature of a perpetual lease for accounts with this billing model, then you will find that instead it is expressed as a total amount that a customer has paid to date on the account.
Got it. Great. We also have here a question that I think, Wes, you could probably answer this one. So there are no limits to the products that can be sold. Does this include agricultural products?
Yeah, it does, and that you're not limited. So we actually have some metered agricultural products you can use, but we also have people that are selling, different hoses and rakes, things of this nature on our platform, utilizing the inventory feature that we've talked about, potentially remetering if they're using a solar water pump. There's a number of agricultural products, one that can be used on the platform as metered, and pretty much unlimited agricultural products that can be utilized as non-metered on our platform.
Great. Caroline, so what products, as the director of customer success or customer experience at Angaza, this is probably a good question for you here. So what products would you recommend distributors add to their distribution catalog? And do you have any insight into what last mile consumers are looking for?
So with our interactions with our distributor customers, we are seeing an increase in the need for non-lighting devices as they ramp up on solar home systems. Though on the specifics, however, there is no one size fits all. Our distributors do serve different markets, and the needs of their customers also differ. So if a distributor has not identified what products the customers in the market they have are looking for, then our customer success managers will work with the distributor as they spend considerable amount of time understanding these markets and are more than happy to offer the insights that they have gathered. So this is a great value add to distributors who have partnered with Angaza. And if there's any distributor in our audience today who would want to learn more about this, I would encourage them to reach out to their respective customer success manager. And if you're not part of Angaza yet, sign up. We're very excited to work with you.
Thank you, Caroline. So Wes, this question I think is for you, and this one came in prior to the presentation today from a registrant. What kind of data will I have access to about my business?
That's a pretty broad question. There's all kinds of data that you'll have access to, and some of the most common things that we see our customers needing access to. If I were to pick three basic things, right? The inventory aspect of things, where things are, who has what inventory, the sales agent metrics. So something along the lines of, hey, who your best sales agent is, who's best at collections, who sells the most units. And then the third thing is going to be around like the popularity of products. These are just common examples of things that our customers really like look into and need from a data perspective. But any of the data that you're able to pull from your clients, the end users, we're able to house in the Angaza platform, and a lot of that is customizable to you based on your needs.
Great. We also had a question come in the chat that I think we should probably just address to make sure that it's super clear. Is it possible to do pay as you go? Wes, if you wouldn't mind answering that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this question is alluding to pay as you go for the clients who are utilizing the products, or pay as you go on the Angaza platform. We have a number of different billing models when working with us, between us and distributors, that some of them are more pay as you go-esque and others are more kind of fixed price. So to your question, yes, but it depends on which model you're looking at.
Got it. And a question here that came in around cost of the platform. So Wes, you could probably also field this one. How much does the platform cost?
Yeah, that's another good question. It's completely dependent upon, well, I shouldn't say completely dependent upon. It's dependent upon a number of different variables. So the number of units you have on your platform, kind of as well as the subscription type and technological needs that you're going to need. So we have a number of different tiers that we work with in terms of the functional capabilities of the platform. So that question's, though I know everybody's looking for one single price, here's what it is. It's a little bit hard to answer without knowing the details of your business. I would rest assured, however, we do everything we can to ensure that you're in a good place financially, and we're helping stimulate your growth. We're under no misconception that your growth and success means our growth and success, and so we're here to work with you and ensure that you're in a position to be successful.
That's great. Caroline, this one's probably a good one for you to field. How long does it take to get set up with the Angaza platform?
So I'll talk to our onboarding process, and I'd like to say that we have a very robust onboarding process. So this process seeks to ensure that our distributor customers do understand the ins and outs of the platform, and the engagement is very personalized. It is delivered based on the needs and the business structure, of course, of our customers, which is what we seek to first understand. So the focus here is to basically ensure that the customer is able to quickly launch operations and derive the benefits and value of the Angaza platform within the shortest time possible, and definitely become successful in their vision.
Great. Wes, this one came in prior to the presentation. Again, I think is a really great question. How can I capitalize on consumer demand of standalone solar home systems by low-income customers while reducing risk and promoting business growth?
That's a pretty deep question. So let me see if I can answer that as concisely as possible. I think the first thing is understanding the demand and needs of those consumers, right? So the area that you're in. We find that some standalone solar home systems work better in certain areas than others. What I mean by that is there are different sizes of these home energy systems and different price points. If you're talking about extremely low income consumers, right, you're not going to come out with a very expensive home energy system. You're probably going to have a smaller, smaller home energy system that's you're able to sell to these particular clients of yours or customers of yours. The question around reducing risk and promoting business growth. Reducing risk, when you're first starting out, it has to do with your customer profiling and ensuring that, one, you're getting enough money up front and you're correctly evaluating or assessing your customers. In effect, you want to be able to bring on people who are going to be able to pay back their loan. Additionally, you're going to want to give them loan terms that they can pay back. So there's kind of a sweet spot of here's how long the loan should be, and here's how much we need to be able to charge for it, and then the customers who can afford it, evaluating them appropriately. Once, however, you're actually on the platform for a while, we're actually able to give you a risk score. So based on the payback rates and success that you've had, we're able to give you a risk score for each client or customer that you do have, which will help alleviate as well as kind of fine tune that evaluation process. So the longer you use Angaza, the more beneficial it ends up being. It's very intuitive in that way.
Right, absolutely. I think that kind of touches on a question that we had come in earlier in the presentation, which was how can last mile distributors ensure profitability given the profile of their customers? And I think you did a good job kind of touching on some of the ways that we really help distributors mitigate risk and also, preemptively assess risk as well. So that's great. We do have another question here that came in during the presentation that I think would probably be good to address. And either of you can take this one. SMS text messaging is usually the fastest, most efficient way to reach a client. How do I create free SMS on the Angaza hub?
Is that one for me, Aaron?
Yeah, you can take either of you can take it, but yeah, Wes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I think there's a lot more there than just setting up a free SMS on the hub. You're going to have clients. You're going to have to understand how the system works. The SMS is kind of the end part of that, of getting in touch with your clients, issuing key codes, and so on and so forth. Caroline, do you want to add anything to that?
I think you've done justice to that question, Wes. So yes, all good.
Great. Another question that came in during the presentation, any insight on how much does it cost to run the application over a month or a year? I'm guessing the answer is going to be this varies.
Yeah, it does. And again, we do have models where it's a fixed fee. So you'll know exactly how much it's going to cost you to run on Angaza for the year. That's not a problem. It's dependent upon your appetite for commitment and risk and this type of thing. If you're not on a fixed fee, then it does vary. It's based on usage, and you can calculate that out. We can help you with that to ensure that you understand the cost kind of going forward.
Great. Another question that came in during the presentation, does bringing in non-metered products increase the platform costs if bundled into existing, say, SHS unit cost? Either of you can take that one if you are so inclined.
Go for it, Carol. I've answered a bunch of these.
This is cost, Wesley, so I thought maybe
We can follow up with this one with a more detailed answer afterwards if that would
Yeah,
be.
I can answer it in short, but effectively, again, it depends. It depends on how the bundling is done. If it's a kind of a replacement or tied to another product. Again, you can sell non-meter products as a standalone on our platform. They don't necessarily have to be bundled, but it's difficult to get into the details. This is actually a more complex question than a simple yes or no answer.
Sure, got it. Great, no worries. We will follow up afterwards with a more detailed answer. And with that, I've just noticed that we're actually reaching the time that we have allotted for the webinar, and I don't want us to get cut off today. So we'll just quickly wrap everything up. Let me just share my screen quickly here with all of you to provide you with some last information before we leave you for today. So I just wanted to thank both you, Wes and Caroline, for joining us today and sharing your expertise with us. It's very much appreciated. And of course, to our audience, thank you so much for attending the presentation today. We really appreciate you joining us and learning with us. And so this webinar will be available on demand in the next couple of days, and we will follow up via the email that you used to register for the presentation to let you know where you can view this webinar and where you can find it to share it with your colleagues in the future. So also, if you asked a question during today's Q&A that we didn't have time to get to today, we will follow up via the same email that you used to register with an answer shortly. And additionally, if you have any more questions about the Angaza product, the Angaza platform, or you want to reach us after the presentation with any questions at all, then please feel free to reach out to us and contact us at sales@angaza.com. And of course, if you are already an Angaza customer, then you should always feel free to reach out to your customer service representative for more information. And with that, I will sign us off for today. Again, thank you so much for joining us and have a great rest of your day, everybody.